Hello everyone, I'm FARMERSIM and welcome to episode 54 of the Let's Play series here over on Court Farms Country Park. So I hope you're all doing very well and having a lovely day. As you can see, I am just finishing off the last bit of work in the cornfield here that we planted in the last episode. Ran the weeder, ran this roller here, obviously, just finishing that off now, and I have also ran the fertilizer spreader and just topped up the nitrogen of the soil, as the game told me to do. But yeah, job done. This field is now 100% boxed off and can be left to its own devices now for a few months until we can get ourselves in the field here to harvest. So, there we go. All good. As you can see, pH values and nitrogen values, and the expected yield is up to 125%, so that's superb. Right, so what we're doing in today's episode, well, we are going to finish off, well, sorry, we're not going to finish off, we're going to start and finish the fertilizing contract that I took on at the beginning of the last episode that I never actually got done, over in field 88. To do that, we are going to use our plethora of slurry that we have over here in the tank. I've got the tank there loaded up, ready to go. So we're going to crack on with that. And I have also been just, again, having another ponder onwards from the relative success of the last episode and the amount of money that we got. Those of you who did watch the episode will know that I came into a vast amount of money from my clothes empire, which I'm now going to dub Farmani. Just for a bit of a giggle, I suppose. Because they did bring in huge quantities of money, and I really am looking forward to, forgive me, concentrating on talking and trying not to talk nonsense and reverse and keep this thing in a straight line. It's a particularly challenging thing. Yeah, I am looking forward to where this lot can go now with the amount of money that we can bring in over a few months from that clothes empire from Farmani. Yeah, exciting stuff. Now, obviously, at the minute we have a relatively rare occurrence. We still have a six-figure bank balance. We're currently sat at 101,973 quid, which is quite rare for this series. But it's all good. Looking forward to where we can go with it. I have been having a ponder, as I say, on any kind of upgrades I can make. Now, I was one upgrade that I have got in mind for the near future. Do you know what? I'll turn this off for a second. Is my grasswork apparatus, as it were, the mower and the windrower. Now, the mower's a pretty decent thing that we've got. The Elho, I think you pronounce it, or Elho, however you want to pronounce it. It's a pretty decent mower. It's got a decent size. But I was watching Cartech's latest series over on Fairhead last night. Hello, mate, if you're watching. Lovely series. I'm really enjoying the direction I think you're going to go in that one. It's purely a silage. I think it's dubbed like a silage king series. He's basically just working on silage, working on grass, no animals. I really quite like the idea of that, no animals. It's really quite interesting. But anyway, sorry. Yeah, he has one of the mowers that came in the latest premium expansion. It's the Samaz front and rear mounted mower kit, and I really quite like the look of it. One of the main reasons is because it has its own built-in windrowing function. So it's obviously you mow the grass and it drops it all into a nice row. Now, one of the reasons why I'm keen on that is because this windrower, I absolutely hate it. It doesn't sit still. If I don't do anything with it, obviously it's where it is now. It's looking nice and straight and neat in the shed because I've put it that way. Because every episode that I jump into, I have to keep on coming over here, initiating super strength, and just picking it up and straightening it up because it has this annoying habit of just wandering. So if I go off now for several hours in game time and come back, this thing will be kind of sat at some jaunty angle here, pushing this thing over here, which then pushes that thing over there. It's really quite annoying. I've seen many things do it in the game as well. It's not just isolated to this windrow. I appreciate that. I can't answer why it does it or why they do it. The same thing happens, actually. Any of you who watch my Tahitian my Tahitian series, sorry, in the last episode, I think it was, I mentioned one of the in-game characters, Jack, who has the big John Deere farm, as it were. He has the big C850 air cart with that massive, ridiculous planter thing hooked up to a 9RX. And I made up the story, as it were, because it's all make-believe that he sold it because he was annoyed with it, and it was, But the reason why I initiated that little bit of the story and got rid of it and replaced it with the Seed Hawk variant is because the John Deere thing does what this thing does, and it just wanders off. So every time I came into the game, that gigantic convoy, the planter and the air cart, were just moving around, and they literally got themselves tied up in knots, and they were all... It was just... It's crazy, it's daft, it's really annoying, and when you're trying to move that kind of convoy around and straighten it up, it's an absolute nightmare. So, anyway, long story short, I'd like to get rid of that windrower and the mower and replace it with the Samaz front and rear mounted thing, which will do the mowing and the rowing for me in one go. Now, that would involve an investment of, in total, £84,500, but I can get back, but just based on the prices that the menu will give me, £52,191 for the Ello mower and the windrower that we currently have. So, essentially, the entire outlay I would have to put out is £32,309. So it's not too much, I suppose. So yeah, that's one of the things I'm thinking of doing. Now, I did mention in the last episode as well that I am quite keen on making a purchase of another field. There's a field over there at the bottom. It's a decent size. It's currently got grass in it. So it would be a good idea to... That one there, you can just kind of see in the distance. Yeah. So it's a consideration, but I think that's got an investment needed of about 190 grand. So we're a bit far off that yet. But as I say, the Farmani Empire may well allow that to happen in the future. Anyway, right, so we're going to go and crack on with this fertilizing contract. We do also have the planting to finish off in our other two fields. We have our soybeans and our sunflowers to get planted. So I would very much like, if I can, to get that done in today's episode as well. Everything else, we're still at the same point in the game as we were at the end of the last episode, so the animals are all fine. We do still have, we've got a load of wool pallets to take over to the wool mill, but currently the wool mill is completely full. Until I fast forward time and come back tomorrow or whatever, the wool mill is completely full, so they can just stay and build up as they are for the now. As you can see there on the left hand side, we have a chunk of lettuce pallets to get rid of. We've still got a chunk of honey pallets over on the shelving over there to get rid of. We've got a pallet and a bit of eggs over at the chickens. So we've just got a few pounds we can get in from there. And I think we've also got 3 pallets of bread over at the bakers, if not more. I haven't actually moved them out of the way to see if any more will spawn. So we've got a few quid there to come in from that lot. As you can see there, our fields are looking lovely. Let's just jump out and have a nice little look, shall we? So this is what we're at here. This is our oats, looking really quite nice. We've got our linseed over here somewhere. What have we got in this one? I need to remind myself because I've not been here for a while. Barley, yep, all good. And our linseed. I know I've said it before, but I do love the way the linseed looks when it's like this in blue. Very picturesque. Right, anyway. Farming. Fertilizing, that's what we need to do. So, as I say, I'm going to be making a dent in our vast quantity of slurry that we have in our slurry pit. So we're going to go and do field 88, which is quite big. We have been there before. I think I did a harvesting contract in there quite a while ago. So we're going to go and crack on with that. I am going to obviously do my usual. I am going to initiate course play and auto drive and put the whole thing into a cinematic and pick you back up in a wee while's time when we're all done. I'll see you in a bit. Right, there we go. Contract done. Easy money. Made a bit of a dent in our massive amount of slurry as well in the slurry tank. Well, I'm letting auto drive me home here because I've just tried making a clip talking as I drive out of the gate and I can't even do it. Terrible. Got stuck on the gate post. Right, so anyway, where are we? So we need to jump into our contract menu, and there we go, 7,622 quid. Boom. Done. So we're now sat at just under 110. Not bad at all. Now, I meant to mention earlier on, forgive me, before I got started with that contract, I wanted to say a big thank you to my good friend Leroy, Leroy_14. If you haven't already subbed to him, please go do check out his channel. Yeah, big thank you to you, mate, again, always. He, almost from the last episode, I said that I had to disable the better contracts mod because I bought the forage harvester and I wanted to consider in the future doing a bit more foraging work. I could never get the forage contracts mod to work properly on my, or to work at all, because every time I tried to activate it at the beginning of the game, it came up with a message saying it didn't work essentially with better contracts. So in the last episode, I said that I had disabled the better contracts and enabled the forage contracts. But it turns out that I was just missing an update for the better contracts mod. Leroy informed me of this, very kindly fired me over the mod, and sure enough, installed that, and I now have both mods working correctly. So, yep, better contracts is back in, and forage contracts is on as well. Now, I'm assuming obviously the forage contracts will only happen and occur when the field states are in the right state to be foraged, I guess. So, currently, as we speak, there's no forage contracts in the contract menu. I think I'm correct in saying that. Again, all of you who no doubt know a lot more about this stuff than I do, I hope I'm not wrong with understanding that, but I'm assuming that the forage contracts will only come to light when the fields are ready to be foraged. I'm assuming. Anyway, right, so, job done. Good work. We've made a little bit of a dent in our pile of slurry, tank of slurry. And there was another funny thing that occurred actually between the last couple of episodes. As some of you, or hopefully most of you, will be aware, the game was recently updated, a small update that came along with the introduction of Creative Mesh's Straw Harvest Pack. When I installed that mod, and when I was doing, it was in the last episode actually, when I was doing that big jump through time from November through to April. So there were several months of, waking up every day, feeding the cows, not making any videos or any content for it, as you're aware. I was just fast forwarding time, but each and every day and every month I was making sure that the cows and all the animals were topped up and moving all the wool back into and stuff, But something that I had occurred to me was that at that present time, throughout those few months firing forward, this cow barn wasn't creating the manure here, this little pile of manure. The cows were still producing manure and it was being added to the manure bunker over there. That was still increasing, but this wasn't, and it was prevalent throughout the entire 4, 5, 6 months or whatever it was that I went through, which was a bit odd. And it was something that I meant to mention, and then I've come back on today having made no changes whatsoever apart from the addition of the new Better Contracts updated mod, and sure enough, boom, there's another pile of manure there. So yeah, I suppose that's a bit of a non-event, isn't it? But yeah, just something that came to my mind that I noticed. Right, so what are we doing now? I think it's time that we. What I think I might do actually, I think while we've just thrown another £7,000 into the bank by doing that contract, I think we're going to put the slurry tank away. Tuck that away in there neatly for now, and then I think I'm going to run around, grab a load of pallets. I'll do this off camera, of course, because it's a bit mundane, but I'll run around, grab a load of pallets, the lettuces, the eggs, the bread down at the bakery, and the honey, and we'll take them somewhere, make a few more quid, add that to the bank account, and then we will crack on with the planting. So I shall see you all ASAP. Right, all loaded up. Got a decent lot on here now, and I think this is like the second episode in a row where I've had a precariously stacked trailer of pallets, isn't it? But so we got 7,200 litres of honey, a pretty meagre 1,515 litres of eggs, 17,500 litres of lettuces. To make sure I go around the corner carefully because it does have a tendency to topple over, and 5,000 litres of bread. So we're literally just going to go around the corner here to Valley View carefully, see what we can get for it. And I am really hoping, as I always do when I come to one of these sell points, to get it all in one go. It looks like it's all going this time. It's about where you position the trailer on the grid, I get that, but I'm not going to get those eggs at the... Oh, there we go. Oh, gutted. Not fair. 31,195 plus 3,200 for 34,300. Still going. How annoying is that? So about 34, 35, 36, 37. It's rather frustrating and you can't... There we go. So why aren't you selling there? You need to come over here. There we go. Takes its time, doesn't it? Right, so having not seen all the numbers that appeared up there, I think I remember saying, so I'm going to say it's somewhere between 37 and 38, including the environmental score award. So either way, brilliant. 147,468 quid. Lovely stuff. That'll do for me. Right, so let's get back to the farm. We're going to jump in the deer. I'm going to crack on with our planting and make sure that we at least finish this episode with all of our fields drilled, exactly as we want them to be. Right, let's just stick this over here for now. Out of the way. There we go. Right. Soybeans and sunflowers. Let's crack on. I'm going to put soybeans into this field here, the one that's just over the hedge. It's slightly bigger than the one that's in the distance. Not by much, but so yeah, I'm going to put soybeans in that one, sunflowers in the other one. And then that will be all of our fields done. So I am hoping, naively at the minute, and I figure that, but obviously once our fields... Goodness me, that was a bit of FPS lag there, wasn't it? Yeah, well, obviously once our fields are all drilled, that's going to be pretty much our field work done for the next few months, and I am hoping, obviously now, as I said before, that I've got the forage contracts mod now working correctly in the game. I'm hoping that to keep ourselves busy, I'm quite keen to get started on doing some forage contracts and get using my new Fendt Katana. Is it Katana? I think it's called the Katana, isn't it? The forage harvester. I'm very keen to get using that. I'm not entirely sure, having never done it before, I'm not entirely sure at what point in the year that the forage contracts are going to start appearing in the list. Any of you guys out there who are way more versed and knowledgeable on that bit than I am, if you can, let me know in the comments if you've got an idea when they are likely to start. But yeah, that's what I'm hoping to try and do into the near future, is crack on with a few of those, see where that takes us financially. Anyway, right, so as I say, drilling. This field's going to be the soybeans, that field over there is going to be the sunflowers. So you know the score. I'm going to pop one, if not both of these jobs into a cinematic. Haven't yet decided that, which way I'll do that, whether I do them both or just one. But either way, the next time you hear my dulcet tones, we will have both of these fields drilled. So, see you all ASAP. Awesome. All done. It's all of our fields done now. All I've got to do now is obviously I've got to run the weeder to get rid of that little message in the bottom right and give it a rolling, or give them a rolling as it were. So yeah, all good. Now one thing I have just done, actually completely separate from the game itself, but more of a hardware computer thing. Halfway through the second field's work, I jumped in and out of the game, because some of you might have noticed, I don't know, obviously having not made the cinematic yet, but this has been prevalent in other episodes as well, some of you might have seen it. I've had this incessant flickering. You can well, it's not doing it quite as much now, because I've just gone out of the game and I've kind of dumbed down the settings a little bit, but it's something that's plagued me for ages, and I haven't really seen it in any other content creators' videos. Yeah, it's like, it's a flickering in the trees, it's a flickering in the machinery from a distance, only when it's moving, and only seems to be when Coursplay's running, because obviously if I come far away from it now, it doesn't do it. It's only when it's moving and doing something. But like I say, some of you might have picked up on it, but for example, if that tractor had, well, even if that tractor was just as it is now, just driving off into the distance on auto drive or Courseplay, you'd see the whole thing flicker. And it's been driving me insane. What I've actually done previously, up to now, on this, on Court Farms anyway, because the map itself is so very well optimized, I've been very fortunate that I can, I've been running everything, the LOD distances and the terrain distances and all that kind of stuff, they've been turned right up to 300% in the XML, and it's been relatively okay. The game will run at a solid 60 frames a second, literally, like there we are now. But as I say, visuals and clarity and the way things look are really important to me. So I've always tried to make the videos look as good as possible, within the confines of the capabilities of my computer here. But what I've had to do to try and alleviate this flickering, I came out of the game and I've dumbed all my terrain LOD distances and all that kind of stuff down to 195%. I've turned the realistic beacon lights, I've turned them off. I've reduced the light quality from very high to high, and it's kind of fixed it a little bit. But I still like that. For example, you can see the side of that shed there. It just looks weird. I don't know if that's something that just happens, and then it is what it is, isn't it? There's nothing I can do about it. But if any of you out there who are way more versed up on stuff like this, on the hardware and the settings side of things, give us a shout in the comments and see if there's any hints or tips you can give me, because I've got obviously I've searched all these things in the past before on Google and whatnot. I've got all the things like the Tobii eye tracker settings turned to off and the beacon light USB thing turned off in the XMLs. That was something that somebody said in a YouTube video ages ago. If you want to try and reduce the micro stuttering, to turn off the Tobii eye tracker settings in the game XMLs, because that can have an effect. So I've done all that, and it's not been too bad, to be honest. But as I say, it's just I'm desperately seeking the solid 60 frames a second, and if I bring that up, because I have now reduced the distances and the whatnot down to 195%, it seems to be it can sit at 60 much more. But as you can see, it still peaks now and again and drops a tiny bit. There you go. But then it as it's just re-rendering all the things as I'm moving around. But yeah, it's just a bit it's funny, this game, isn't it? It really is. Anyway, sorry, forgive me for that. I just but yeah, as I say, if any of you are clued up on that side of things and can offer any kind of advice or help, please let me know. Like I said, my system is relatively capable. It's nowhere near, you know, the top notch of modern day computers. It's got 64 gig of RAM, which I know is pretty decent. It's got a Ryzen 7 processor, which I know that could be bettered if I could afford a Ryzen 9, but I can't, so I won't. And I've got a 12 gigabyte AMD graphics card. Yeah, so it's a pretty decent system. I know it can run. I know this game is quite unique in of itself. I can run other games at like 250 frames a second all day long. Not that I play other games, but I did test it on Cyberpunk 2077 a long time ago when I first rebuilt this system to what it is now, and it'll sit at that, with that game, it'll sit at 250 frames a second all day long, but this game, most of the time, on this map, as I say, I'm fine, because the map is so well optimised, you can literally sit, well, I can now that I've done things down at 60 frames a second. When it was up to, when I had all the settings turned up to 300%, it would hover between like 58 and 59, occasionally 60. But because I have a 4K 60 Hz screen, 60 frames a second is the magic number, and I know you can unlock the frames per second and have it go higher than 60, but for a 60 Hz screen, you don't want that. 60 Hz at 60 frames a second is the perfect visual yumminess, isn't it? Anyway, forgive me, long waffle. Right, so I need to roll and weed both of those fields, which I am going to get done off camera. I think I might get that sorted right away, and then I think I'm going to finish the episode, as I have done many times before, with a bit of retail therapy. We're going to go and we're going to replace our mower and rower, as I said earlier. We're going to treat ourselves to that Samaz. Now, forgive me, there was another little clerical error, I suppose you could call it. When I was going through the numbers with you earlier on, I was explaining the financial outlay that would have to be made for that mower setup. I got my numbers wrong. I'd scribbled a load of numbers down on a notepad here, and I got them the wrong way around. The amount of money I will get back for the current LO mower and windrower is 32,309, not 52,000. And so the financial outlay I will need to put out to buy that new mower setup is 52,191. Either way, we can afford it. Currently at 147, so we'll still be just, if we do go ahead and make this purchase, we'll be just south of the £100,000 bank balance, but that's fine with me, absolutely fine. So, anyway, destination Massey, we shall weed and roll, and I'll pick you all back up in about an hour's time, when hopefully both of those fields are all done and dusted. We're going to go and treat ourselves to some nice shiny equipment. So I'll see you all ASAP. There we go, job done. That little roller does look a bit ridiculous on the back of the John Deere now, doesn't it? But still gets the job done. So, these fields are now almost completely boxed off. So, one thing I've also realised on top of a few episodes ago regarding my oilseed radish experiment, I guess I should have thought a little bit about what was going into the fields afterwards, because obviously soybeans now, they require 0 kilograms per hectare of nitrogen. So at the minute, the way this field is constructed of its soil, we've got loam. In the loam areas, it's fine, as you can see there, expected yield of 125%, even though the nitrogen is sat at a level of 125 kilograms per hectare out of a needed 0. So over here in the loam, there's a section of loam on the far end of the field there, but if we pop into the PDA, the bigger section here, the sandy loam, we're only getting expected yields of 100% across that whole thing. So had I thought a bit more carefully about what was going into the fields, then at least now I know for the future anyway. Obviously the best way to approach field work before planting soybeans is to leave the nitrogen at its absolute minimum, if not 0 if you can, so the nice bright red colour in the map PDA. So, anyway, right. There's not much I can do about it now anyway. And I also forgot to mention as well, after the drilling of this field, I made a tiny little error. If I pop into the map PDA and we go to the growth and the crop types, there you'll see I forgot to switch over from soybeans to sunflowers. So when I got the worker started off, it took me about 4 seconds to realise, oh goodness. So we now have a tiny little patch of soybeans there growing in here. Where is it? Yeah, there we go. Soybeans growing. Sunflowers growing. So yeah, tiny error on my part, as usual. Right, anyway, so, job done. As I say, I think that I'm going to have to give a tiny little bit of a top-up of solid fertilizer on this field. As I say, a very, very small amount. There we go. As you can see, nitrogen 95 out of a wanted 120, so a very, very minimum topping up, which I will get done ASAP. But for now, I am going to jump in the Deere here. We're going to go and hitch up the mower and the rower, get them cleaned up, take them down to the shop, flog them, and replace them with something nice and shiny new. So I'll see you there. Right, we're off, on the way. As you can see, I've given both implements a good clean up. I will repair them if they need it when we get down there. There's another bit of an FPS lag there as well, wasn't there? Yeah, I will give them a repair if they need to when we get down there. But I'll pick you all back up momentarily when these are gone, and our nice Samaz equipment will be sat ready for us to collect. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. My new mower. Brilliant. Really happy with that. I really am. Thank you, Cartech, if you're watching, mate, for giving me the inspiration to get hold of this. After watching your video there on Fairhead, I just, yeah, it just looked like it ran so smooth. Just a perfect bit of equipment, I thought, and it's much easier than me running my big front-mounted LO mower with that ridiculous windrower at the back. I just kind of figured this kind of setup, well, it's about time I had something like this, don't you think? Not that, obviously, I know we've only got a couple of grass fields at the minute. One of them's not that big, but if I have my way and we do get hold of that larger field that's down at the bottom of our end of the farm there, that's grass at the minute, and I may well keep it that and keep it as silage, perhaps, or to turn into silage, we shall see. But regarding the sale of the old equipment, we obviously doing things at the shop, you do gain a bit more money. So after repairing them, both of them, cumulatively we got an extra 3,645 quid across the board for the two pieces of equipment. So what that meant is the entire investment cost me 48,551 quid instead of the 52,000 that it was previously going to. So we're now set at 98,446 quid, which is still fine. It's all good. But yeah, looking forward to getting this thing working, to be honest. I really am. Obviously, like I say, this mows and rows the grass, so it'll be a case of run this thing, then run the baler. Job done. So, brilliant. But anyway, I think now that I have made this purchase, I think I'm going to call it here for today's episode, ladies and gentlemen. I really do hope you've enjoyed it and found it even remotely fun and interesting. As always, if you're new to the channel and you like my content, you like the way I'm doing things, please consider hitting that subscribe button and joining the channel. Giving the video a like if you can. Giving that like button a smash does really help the channel grow. It lets the YouTube algorithm do its thing, and so yeah, I'd be very grateful if you could. And as always, there is a host of links in the video description below with my Giants Partner promo code. If any of you are in the market for purchasing a DLC, one of the game's add-ons, or even the full game itself, and you fancy helping a content creator out at the same time, I would be massively appreciative. So thanks again, everyone. Thanks for your time. I'll see you in the next one.